and welcome back to Casual. I am pleased to have Professor Khusbu with us today. She has an MA in clinical psychology. Today on Casual, powered by DP House of Media, a talk show with, for, and by the youth. Khushbu is going to talk to us about the importance of having a positive environment, especially in workplaces and in education, alongside highlighting the importance of self-care and motivation. So, hi Khushbu, how are you?
I'm good, Janavi. Thank you so much for calling me here. It's a glad and it's a pleasure to be a part of this your series.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. What I can share from my insights and my experience.
Same. I think this is going to be really insightful for the audience, and it'll be interesting to know more about psychology, which has become such an interesting subject in today. Okay, so let's get into it. So, in today's world, there is an area of different fields to choose from. Tell us why you chose to do psychology.
So personally, so you can see every at home, if you see every home, the parents has this, my child should be into medical or engineering and this similar kind of a home. So my parents wanted me to join a medical or engineering, and I have actually been an engineering student. I was there for 2 years, but then again, that is something your heart doesn't follow,
Yeah.
and you just cannot be great at it when your heart is not allowing you. So
Yeah.
that's where I started exploring the field of psychology. Like, what is there? What is a different field where we can understand humans? What about the career? Is there any other process how we can select the careers? That was the entire process of self exploration for me. And I understand, yeah, the psychology is one of the field that I would love to pursue, and I can see myself for next maybe 40, 50 years down the line. I want to work in that, because the career is something, it's not for just for a degree purpose.
Yeah.
Today everyone who is working or who is pursuing certain career or subject, it is going to stick to you. It
Yeah.
is something that adds meaning to your life that you want to do,
Yeah.
right? So that's how I explored it, and it's a quite interesting subject. Every day you learn something with your students, with your clients, when you meet people, their experiences. Yeah.
I think that's
And
very interesting. Like you chose to follow a
yeah,
passion, which I think is something so important in today's world. I think we've learned that, you have to do what you're
mm.
interested in.
And quite people know what they don't want to do. Okay,
Yeah.
it is very easy to find that, yeah, mujhe ye nahi karna, ya I don't want to do this. This is something I don't like it.
Yeah.
But finding what I really passionate about, or what I'm really want to do or interested about, it's a very tough task.
Yeah.
People sees it it's easy, but it's really tough.
I mean, who
And
better
that's
than
how
you to
made
tell
it.
us that? After doing psychology, I'm sure you know how difficult it is to choose.
It is quite difficult, but it's fun. So if any journey is easy and it's very easy and smooth going, and you don't have difficulty and challenges, definitely it is not the journey you are looking for.
Yeah.
When you struggle, when you have stumbled up, that's how you grow.
So, as we know now that there's a reason why you chose psychology, and what area of psychology are you particularly intrigued by?
So I was very intrigued or interested with clinical psychology,
Yeah.
but equivalently, I am interested in other areas also. Like for example, basically, you might be aware of like engineering or medical sciences, different fields, and there
Yeah.
are n number of fields.
Yeah.
Similarly, when we talk about psychology, we have n number of fields. Like for example, people basically know about clinical or counseling.
Yeah.
But when we talk about an application way, it is like clinical counseling, industrial neuroscience, or sports psychology, forensic, criminal. There is array of various fields.
Yeah.
And when I was studying, I was particularly interested in clinical, because it helps us to discover different, clinically oriented psychological behaviors, mental illnesses, and it was very interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, now we know that clinical psychology, it's interesting to know that there's so many other fields as well. And, maybe one day
Yeah.
we'll start discovering more about those fields as well. So, as you said, you're interested in clinical psychology. There's one question comes into my mind. It's only in the past few years that people have really opened up about mental health and understanding the importance of talking about it or communicating about it. What are your thoughts on that?
So, the major event that we all suffered through was the pandemic, COVID-19, right? And that was a period, people were stuck inside their home. They were losing people, they were losing hope. There was so much emotion built up. And there is a point like, you are at home. There is nothing disturbing. Physically, element is there with you. But psychologically, you are disturbed, right? Your
Yeah.
emotions, emotionally wise, you are not feeling well, and that's how people started understanding it's not about only your body, it's also about your psychological factor, that it is you are not feeling good, your people lost job also, so how that losing something is triggering depression in people, people become suicidal, people are opening about what they feel about. So
Yeah.
that was very important, that 2 3 years was very important, that people started understanding that, as we have medical covers for your physical
Yeah.
health that company provides or every employee has, or every person think about the physical health, similarly you really need to take care about your psychological health.
Yeah.
So that was very important.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to go to with my next question. That in the past few months, especially during COVID,
Mm-hmm.
I know that there was a lot of the world has really changed after it, and I think I might be wrong, but correct me. Has it had like a positive effect on people talking about mental health? Not a positive effect on mental health, but an effect on people opening up about it.
Yeah, so we can see a great revolution happening around people talking about it, coming up and expressing about what they are going through.
Yeah.
Earlier, it was people used to consider as a labeling, stigma, or sign of weakness. Okay, but now people understand, it is very important you to take care about your psychological health and as well as physical health, and they are interlinked. If you try to study the phenomena of biopsychology, it talks about your physical and the mental health are interlinked. So as people, even there are so many studies about, when at the time of COVID, people have done a lot of studies related to the psychological factors,
Yeah.
like losing of hope, losing of meaning in their life, how even the youth of like adolescents to the young adults feeling existential crisis, that there is no reason to live. So many factors were affecting, and that lead them to understand, yeah, you need some help also, some mental help also. And you can see across in that particular time so many mental health helplines started, online counseling, free support for the people. They can call and talk what they are feeling. And because of the COVID, even the nearer person you have in your life was not available, okay,
Yeah.
to listen. The listener was not there who can understand you.
Yeah.
So that all, there are different factors, or you can say that a collaborative effect happened.
Yeah.
You know, the physical element was the biggest, where people started losing. The death was very biggest thing that people were losing.
Yeah.
But again, even the presence or touch of human being was very necessary for us. Like we
Yeah.
are social people, and suppose if you don't meet your friends for a weekend or a few 2 weeks, you feel a little sad, or not being productive, or not feeling that happy, right? Similar kind of a things you can understand in the COVID, when people are not able to meet their own children, mother, or cannot be together, even they are staying at same home. Okay, they have to maintain the boundaries, cannot sit and talk. So many factors were affecting their health, and people started understanding, venting or expressing or trying to talk about it's very important. And we have volunteered for many, and it was very I can say learning experience, that why it is so important to talk about your psychological health.
Yeah. So, I mean, COVID was hard for everybody. I think each and every person had a phase in COVID where they did have crisis, even, especially regarding to mental health. So I think it was, but it is still quite a positive change to see that there were people that started talking about it. There were people that started reaching
Yeah.
out, and there were people who were there to be there to help them. I'm asking you this because I know and I've heard that during COVID that you used to volunteer as well. So, I mean, I'd really like to know a little bit more about that. Like, what did you do, and what role did you play?
So yes, we did volunteer for some psychological helpline. So we used to take calls. So I understand, even today when you are opening up for your emotion, some people might still feel a little bit reluctant to go and talk face to face talk to the therapist or a counselor. So
Yeah.
that's why we used to be over call. And understanding the COVID, as we all were in lockdown, it was again a very kind of such a scenario where you don't have face to face meeting with your family even.
Yeah.
So that time you come up with the idea. The many organizations come up with the idea that we should have a online or a telephonic counseling sessions for the people around the India. Okay, so that helpline number used to be given to different platforms, and people used to call all around the states. So there are so many calls, you won't believe. People actually who lost their job, I can understand they're having their own struggle, they are going through a lot of, they used to call people who even have everything at home, from a very good family, doing well, does not have an much of effect of the COVID on him or in them. Still they were going through a lot of crisis. Like for example, a person, people might think, right, ki if you're financially sound, your family is doing well, your kids are growing well, there should not be anything going wrong with you, right?
Yeah.
So we used to get calls from these people also, like, uh, I have done everything, but now what? I don't feel happy inside. I'm not able to feel anything. Even the youth, like, this is particularly their time span to explore, to get into college, make friends, have a new beginning. They were stuck at home. So when I teach in my classes, I can see that in them, that they missed that particular 2 years. It is very difficult for them for now to socialize when they were 2 years haven't been socialized at all. So
Yeah.
so much effect have been seen then. But then again, they also understand that they have to come up and talk about what they feel. And you won't believe, earlier when I used to be in college, students used to have issues, but they never used to approach that frequently or that freely. But
Yeah.
students nowadays approach very much freely and independently that something is going wrong. So do you think this is a very serious thing and I should be concerned about it?
Yeah.
And that's a very great thing. Earlier you start, it's a great progress.
Of course, and I think it's very relatable to everybody. I think even the youth of today, maybe the youth, maybe people who are older to us, it's very relatable because we all went through this as a whole. It was not a particular experience that
Yeah.
one person had. And I think that's played a
Hmm.
big role in mental health, what it is today. I think maybe somewhere it
Hmm.
has become better for people and it has maybe negatively affected them as well. But the one positive change is communication started. And I think that's
Communication
it's
has
a
started.
start, it's a start to something. I think it would be a revolution,
Yes.
like you said before. So I mean, coming into that, we've spoken about the youth, but another factor that it has affected is also stress. So stress has increased, like with the world changing, with everything happening. So particularly, I want to know, how should one cope with stress in the workplace, or how does someone manage their work?
Yeah, so stress and occupation or burnout, frustration or productivity, these are all interlinked factors. And, companies also pay a lot of attention to this particular factors, because every company obviously think about their productivity, employee engagement, and employee retainment. Okay, that is also very big factors for the company. And as an individual, as a person who's an employee, they they are focused about their progress, personal and with the professional, whatever the work culture they have. So in that, stress is a very big factor and it's everyday factor. If you see,
Yeah.
stress is not just only like there's a pending work that will give you stress, or there's like a meeting happened and you got scolded, or the manager was top on your head, and that is going to give you stress. But if you understand every day when you have a little bit small hustles or struggle, even from finding your lost things to having stuck into a traffic jam, those
Yeah.
frustrations also little bit add on to your stress levels. And when you reach, for example, when you start from your home
Mm.
and you plan to reach to your workplace at time, but then it's about something traffic jam, or maybe it's raining, and you reach your workplace 10-15 minutes late, for example, and from there only you started stressing out,
Yeah.
right? Boss kya kahenge, and I got late, people will gossip, right? Maybe I am like favorite kind of a stuff while goes on. So
It
everything
adds
adds to
up.
your stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, adds up. And when we talk about coping or handling stress better, so a lot of management is required. How you manage it. For example, having a healthy boundaries at workplace is very important. Okay, understanding, prioritizing work. For example, people are competitive, or they want to be, in the lead, or they don't want to lose something important. So
Yeah.
they try to have this tendency to, have everything on the plate.
Yeah.
Okay, so understanding your own capacities and taking work accordingly, and having very assertiveness in the workplace is very important. If you know that is outside of your capacity, or right now you already have so much on your plate, how to say no, it's also very important. And not involving into the toxic culture. I can understand when you are part of a work culture, you have colleagues, you talk to them, you become involved, but to what extent you should involve,
Yeah.
and at what extent you should take the uh, words in the office. So many times, many words, or people say something about you, get upset you, or people pass some comments. So that also adds up, and we overthink about this all stuff. So
Yeah,
how much
certainly.
you should put, yeah, how much you should put into this thought, or how much you should actually pay attention to this. It's very important. So first of all, I will say management of your work, being assertive, setting positive boundaries with your colleagues. It's very important. Then not involving into the toxic culture. Maybe gossiping is very common in the office culture,
Yeah.
and blaming games.
Yeah.
So try to avoid those, because it's just going to absorb your energy for the negative purpose,
Yeah.
and you might feel more drained in that, or burnout will be most of the consequences we can see here.
As you rightly said, as we discussed before,
Mhm.
a workplace is something where you're very passionate about it, where you love it. So there's no place for
Mhm.
negativity there, right? There shouldn't be any
Mhm.
negativity. So, what is the one tip that you'd like to give people or to the management to spread positivity?
Okay. So one thing I believe, one should have a very open culture. So suppose you have a manager, you have a team, and you understand maybe some glitch happened or some miscommunication happened. The environment should be that way that, an employee and employer, or the two employees of the company, can come up on a platform and openly talk about it in a very positive manner, rather than be, a culture should be somewhere, okay, you might not be comfortable or something went wrong, let's have a talk, let's have set some other room,
Yeah.
try to eliminate that misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And when we talk about working in a company, there are different people coming together for one particular kind of a work, or under one roof. So there are different mentalities, their behavior are different, their attitudes are different, they're coming up with different values. So
Yeah.
understanding those and respecting those is very important. And that is why we say that maintaining healthy boundaries is very important. Respect and maintaining healthy boundaries.
Of course, like
Okay.
I think it's very important that positivity in the workplace is important.
Hmm.
And like
Hmm.
I'm going to go a bit off topic and talk about, say, self-care for a bit, because that's also something that I think you have to be self-confident. You have to be okay with yourself. And one thing
Yeah.
that majorly leads to it is self-care. So for you to be able to communicate openly, self-care and positivity goes hand in hand.
Hmm.
What are some of the parameters that you consider important when it comes to self-care?
So when we say about self-care, it's a very broad area again.
Yeah.
Self-care can be about your physical, psychological, and combination of both. When we talk about self-care, people mostly think about having a proper diet or physical exercise. Yeah, that adds up to you, and that is very important. I'm not gonna say that is not important. It's very important. Self-care of emotionally or psychologically means trying to have some time for yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
understanding what you are going through, what you are feeling, and giving that time to process that. For
Yeah.
example, we are so busy in our lives, so busy in our work culture or entertaining other people. We always become a shoulder to other people, what they are going through. In that every scenario, somewhere you miss that what kind of impact that is having on you. Okay, and you don't give that space to yourself to process it,
Yeah.
and somewhere that carries the baggage, and sometimes it's burnout. Okay, you just lost it sometime and it just burst out. So self-caring is, sometimes it helps for people maintaining their own journal, writing down their own emotions, expressing, taking their me time. So me time is particularly nowadays very famous, like people talk about having a me time,
Yeah.
and it is very important. It's very important to have that me time, because some see, when we meet people or we have this everything happening around ourselves, so much energy, positive or negative, whatever you say, you are giving the positive energy. Sometimes events happen, you absorb negative energy, you exhausting yourself, right? So you
Yeah.
need some time to be have patience to heal yourself. For example, when you get exhausted physically, we give ourselves a break. Our body tells, you're exhausting your body too much, have some time, have some sleep. Similarly, when you are being hassling around, being around people so much, you're psychologically also get exhausted. You need that time to be yourself, have some time with yourself, feel okay about what you're going through, not thinking about the negative things, understanding and doing what positively makes you happy, spending time that makes you happy. For maybe it's your hobby, it might be writing journal, listening to the song.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
as you said, it's very relatable because I think social battery exhaustion is something that we all face. Like, it's something that, I
Yes.
mean, I personally face. I'm sure a lot of people face. So, this is important to know
Yes.
that it's okay to take a break and just be with yourself. It's okay to, what you're doing is right. So, I think it's quite motivating to know that. So, now on the
Yes.
topic of motivation, I know that I myself struggle with being motivated. So I want to ask you this one question saying, how can I make sure that my healthy habits stick and I don't lose the motivation halfway? So, what are some tips that you would like
Yeah.
to give us?
So yeah, I understand totally. Something to build, and that is also a healthy habit to build, takes a lot of time and a lot of struggle. For example, the the lifestyle we live is kind of very fast paced. Like you want to have that all fancy restaurant food, junk food around, late night movies and everything. And I understand. And one should have those also, because it's kind of a lifestyle we want or we live or enjoy that. But then again, maintaining her health is again a very important aspect,
Yeah.
physically and psychologically, both time. And I understand it's not that easy. Many a times you lose motivation, you lose interest, or there are n number of factors, affect that. Maybe sometime you're trying to maintain a healthy eating habit, and just a friend calls you and is, let's go for some lunch or brunch, and you just lose that. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that happens. But controlling that temptation is one of the biggest area here.
Yeah.
Self control is very important. So self control is like, it's not something today I start saying I will have a self control network. It's not. It's like, frankly, you have to practice daily a little bit and little bit.
Yeah.
And you can you can use a reward system to your own self.
Yeah.
Like, for example, in the childhood, the parents used to do like, if you do this, you'll get a reward.
Yeah.
And today, even we grow old today, also that system really works. So
Yeah.
even if you're trying to keep yourself motivated, for example, you thought of practicing yoga,
Yeah.
okay, or meditation every day, and it is very difficult for maintaining, but then again you started with small small steps towards it. So
Yeah.
try to reward yourself a little bit and then understand the happiness of that reward, how you acknowledge it. And definitely I believe that it will have a positive effect on you and be motivated for the next again week.
As well, that if I do this, I'm going to get this. So I totally agree with you. I
Yeah.
think I'm going to have to try that maybe with my motivation. And I think I am going to. So
Yeah,
we've
it's
spoken
good.
about, I think we've covered so many topics. We've spoken about mental health during the pandemic, which is the hot topic. And there's also self-care, self-motivation, and also maintaining a positive environment. So what I want to ask you is films. Like films are such a big part of our lives today. So as far as
Yes,
films are
I
concerned,
understand.
as far as
Mhm.
films are concerned, is therapy related to mental health stigma similar to real life, or do you think they fantasize that idea?
So, so there are two things I want to discuss about. One, the picturization of mental health in the movies.
Yeah.
So nowadays, whatever the movies are coming, they are a little bit more of researched movie. For example, Dear Zindagi, it's not the exact picturization, but at least a little bit relatively.
Yeah.
But as if you see the movie, maybe it was a Salman Khan movie, Tere Namai, maybe.
Yeah.
So it's a very old movie, and the picturization of mental health or how the patients are treated in mental health hospital was so superbly wrong shown here. Like they were chained and everything, and that is something very wrong. Just understand, we are a population in crores, and people relate to the cinema. Cinema is something that even in the village, rural village, people watch the cinemas.
Yeah.
And the picturization reaching them that way, it's kind of labelizing, stigmatizing, and making them scared that, if you get mental illness, it's like people will treat you this way, people give you shock therapy, or they will chain you up. It's not something happened in the real life. Okay, when we talk about mental health and any patient who is severely ill, severely, or who's getting very aggressive in nature, that physically violent, that time you can say they are being isolated in the chamber or isolated in a room
Of
for
course.
the treatment, but they are not being like so inhumanly treated.
Yeah.
At the end, yeah, at the end, these are all human, and we believe that every human have capacity to um or they have capacity or capability to overcome any kind of illness or any kind of struggle they are going through. And the picturization related to the counseling or psychotherapy, when we talk about, there are few movies which are relatively show what it actually. And I can say that so proudly ki yes, when if you're going through any kind of a psychological issues, counseling and psychotherapy really helps you. It might be related to your stress, it might be related to your depression, it might be related not only the negative factor but also positive factor. For example, you said keeping up with the motivation.
Yeah.
So position feels that he can do better or he can reach higher position. So in that sector also, there are psychologists can help you to do a career counseling, or how you can reach the higher goals or improve your productivity or your skills, on how you can focus that. So there are both ways where you can talk about your psychological elements or psychological illness or anything. Like it's a continuum, zero to negative and zero to positive. So zero to negative, where there is disturbance started happening. Zero to positive, when we talk about growth, improving yourself, motivating, or reaching higher goals. So both ways, psychological can be a force where they can help you, but
Yeah.
it just you have to reach out.
Yeah, and I think in today's world, I think movies are trying to be a little more researched about it.
Hmm.
As we see
Yeah.
Western movies, even Indian cinema, in fact, has started playing a good role in it. Even social media, I think, has really started promoting that
Yeah.
normal. And I think that's very inspiring to see, especially for the youth of today, that it's inspiring to see that there is someone who's going to be there and you just need to communicate. So,
Yeah, I can see that totally with the social media platform also. So many of the youth, uh, if you see, they are stick to the social media like Instagram or
yeah,
TikToks, and in that, if you promote about the field of psychology, or if you feel this way or how psychology can help, they are more able to relate to those.
of course. And
And
it's,
whereas movies are concerned, Indian cinema and plus the foreign country cinema, or whatever the different cinemas we having, they are well researched. And we also, for example, as a teacher, we use certain kind of a cinemas for our students also to teach them.
make it
So there
interesting.
are different films, yeah,
Yeah,
to make them interesting. Yeah, in real life also you can see that that happens.
yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah.
it's very inspiring to know that the future generations, as well as our generation now, mental health is going to be worked on and there's going to be a lot of positivity about it. So, I mean, I've had a great time. I think I've learned so much. I've learned a few tricks about what I'm going to start doing, especially about motivating myself. So, before I let you go, I have to ask you, did you enjoy being on Casual? What was your experience on Casual like?
Yes, it is a very nice and very great experience. I really love talking to you actually. And yeah, it was my first time, but yeah, you really keep it casual as your name suggests, as I felt very comfortable here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, I enjoyed it. I've learned so much. More than enjoying it, I've learned so much. So thank you for being here. Thank you for removing the time.